Well, clean and safe drinking water is a basic necessity we can easily take for granted here in this country. But now scientists say a group of largely unregulated toxic chemicals widely used for years is now a growing threat to water safety in thousands of American communities. It's raising new concerns about risks to our health, including potential links to cancer. Our senior Washington reporter, Devin Dwyer, with this story.
In the desert community of Tucson, Arizona, every source of drinking water is critical.
This is what we call the inflow into the plant.
Which is why residents were stunned recently when the city abruptly shut down this major groundwater treatment plant after officials discovered a potentially toxic chemical known as PFAS underground.
It took decades for the contamination to travel here 5 miles from the Tucson airport. When it did, officials were surprised by the sudden surge in PFAS.
We know that there's this contamination out there. We don't know exactly what it does, but we know it's not going away.
The so-called forever chemicals that don't break down and can't easily be flushed away are a growing concern in cities nationwide. Scientists with the Environmental Working Group in Washington have detected some amount of PFAS in groundwater or drinking water in nearly 2,800 American communities across 49 states.
It's likely an issue in every community, and that's why we need testing to find out.
The Environmental Protection Agency does not require testing for PFAS and does not enforce a national standard for the maximum amount that's safe to drink. That despite a 2016 EPA advisory that recommends limiting PFAS exposure to 70 parts per trillion in drinking water to avoid adverse health effects.
Some of the effects that have been uncovered through studies of people who are exposed are different types of cancer. They can also have effects on developing babies and on women while they're pregnant. If you're watching this and you're concerned about PFAS, you have to educate yourself. Where do you get your water and what do you know about what's in your water?
Scientists say the contamination is often linked to industrial sites, landfills, airports, and military bases where the chemicals may have seeped into the ground.
Tucson's a bellwether. You know, we're the canary in the coal mine right now.
PFAS has been detected on lake shores in northern Michigan and neighborhoods near old military facilities in Pennsylvania. In New Mexico, a dairy farmer claims in a federal lawsuit that groundwater contaminated by PFAS firefighting foam poisoned his cows. And in March, after a foam spill at this small Virginia airport, PFAS was discovered in the water system of suburbs of the nation's capital.
It's not just localized issues of contamination, but these are issues in big metropolitan areas as well.
The EPA declined our request for an interview, but told us in a statement that addressing PFAS in drinking water is a top priority and that it's developing a multi-year strategy to deliver critical public health protections. Consumer advocates say EPA's delay in regulating the chemicals more broadly is troubling.
I think that the EPA, we need to hold their feet to the fire because nothing is going to change. Nothing will go forward until they set those limits.
You know,
the situation worries residents like Patty Daggett, whose aging mother Natalie at home in South Tucson still washes in the water but doesn't drink it.
I wish I could tell you how worried I am because, you know, my mom's been affected, I've been affected.
Guys, Tucson officials told us they can guarantee the city's drinking water is safe and PFAS-free while they work to clean up that contamination. But how can you check to see if there's any PFAS in your tap water? Well, many local water companies do voluntarily test for the chemicals. They post those water quality reports online. Experts told us you can start there. And Amy, I expect we'll be hearing much more very soon from the EPA on this as pressure grows in Congress and around the country now for tighter safety regulations of these chemicals. Amy?
Yeah, wow, that is an alarming report indeed. Thank you for that, Devin.